The Industrial Heartland Trails Coalition actually grew out of something called the Power of 32, which originally was looking at some different economic development pieces that could be done in 32 counties in southwestern Pennsylvania, West Virginia, southern Ohio. And really what they looked at, they realized that there was a bigger landscape. How is it we're going to pull together all these different areas? They eventually expanded to 53 counties. And what it is looking at all the different trail systems, the major population centers, the rural communities, and tying them up into one collective trail network. That's what the Industrial Heartland Trails is, or iHeart Trails is the other shortened version. PEC's role in developing the Industrial Heartland Trails is looking at how do we help bring people together. There's local trail groups that have been doing great work in their backyards, but really they have a vision for what's really close to them. What we're looking at is those places in between. How do we actually leverage all that hard work into making these things into one connected circuit, one network that can be used to move from community to community. The goal is 1,600 miles, and so we have about 53% of those trails on the ground. In the past few months, one of the biggest things that PEC has been able to do, working with our partners, the Rails to Trails Conservancy and the National Park Service River Trails and Conservation Assistance Program, as leadership, pulling together these different groups. When you think about 1,600 miles of trails, that's a lot of different activities. We have broken those up into corridors, and getting those groups together has been one of the main tasks over the last few months. It may seem like a small thing, but to actually get people moving in a similar direction has taken a lot of work, and getting them to understand how to really evaluate where they are in the process. We've been able to make some key identifications with what we call trail gaps. These are sections of trails that are, they don't exist yet, but they might exist in somebody's, on a drawing board somewhere. They might exist as a pipe dream for someone, or they might be actually already fully funded projects that just haven't been completed. Trying to analyze those so we can figure out how best to leverage our resources and actually make a difference in those trail communities is really what we've been working on. We just recently added a 6th corridor. So these are these mega corridors that are connecting up different communities. The Cleveland to Erie corridor met for the first time. So now we feel as though we've got full representation for all these corridors. What we do is with that is bring everybody into the room, set the vision out there, make sure it's a shared vision, and actually start to identify these places we potentially can get trails. Moving forward, we're going to start looking at how we're going to actually put the trails on the ground. Neither PEC nor our partners at RTC or the National Park Service are in the business of constructing trails, but we are in the business of helping these local trail groups find the funding, make the case for why they should have access to these lands, how they're going to purchase and acquire these lands. Prioritizing all of that is what we've got coming in the near future, and what's going to make it so we can actually accomplish this goal of 1,600 miles. So one of the interesting things with what has come from Industrial Heartland's Trails and a similar project in the Philadelphia area called the Circuit, which combines 700 miles of trails, is that realizing that all of these trails, they've got lines that kind of go off these maps that we've made. So how is it that we're connecting them across the state? The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is one of the leaders nationally in trails. We have one of the biggest networks of rail trails, or biggest mileage numbers of rail trails, but they're not necessarily built into a full network. So we are starting to look at Pennsylvania Environmental Council. We're starting to look at how we can actually build those into a network, how we can make them connected across the state into one big system. So in Northeast Pennsylvania, up here in the Poconos region, the William Penn Foundation has given us some money to take a look at extending the circuit, the Philadelphia network, all the way up along the Delaware and Lehigh into Northeast PA, and that's our first step in actually achieving a Commonwealth-wide system of trails.